Okay, Nefertiti, giving us the Nefertiti of it all. There you go. Come on through,
But
Nefertiti.
Nefertiti down here, I can't,
Okay.
my face gets long if I have to keep it up here.
No. It's perfect. It's the Alfre Woodard spin on Nefertiti. It's you have Alfre-sized the.
Oh, excellent.
Yes, that's what.
How are you, darling?
I am good. Long time no see. You look amazing. That's all. I was just paying compliments to the queen.
Let me shut. Look at you.
Let
me shut these things so you can. This is a lot of.
Okay. Oh, God. Come on through. Come on through, shutters.
Light going. Light that wasn't helping me.
Okay. Architecturally, this is yours.
No.
Is this your space? No. Okay.
Oh
okay.
No.
Okay. All right.
No
judgment.
No, I mean, it's fine, but it's like a little crate and barrel-y for me. I mean, I love it to get away to.
Wait a minute. I feel seen. And also I feel traumatized. I love Crate and Barrel and Restoration Hardware. Those are my jams.
I do, but I get pieces from them. If you're I feel like I'm in their showroom sitting here.
Yes. Okay, I see your point.
Like you can't tell anything about me sitting here. My house, if we're at my house, first of all, it's loud right now, but at my house, you could just, my whole story walking around my house.
Okay, walk me through it. Yesterday, I had the pleasure of talking with Bill Perkins, who purchased Sugar Shack, Ernie Barnes's iconic, for $15.3 million. So I brought him on the show to talk about it. And he said for him, it was culture, growing up, watching Good Times, listening to Marvin Gaye, that album, that iconic album. He wanted to own that. And so he went to Christie's and bought it. Black man. I was like, yes. So he just loaned it to a Houston museum, but he's going to have a watch party when he gets it back. But so we go into Alfre Woodard's home. What art? What are we looking at?
Well, I have a lot of Francesca Schifrin on my walls. And Fran Schifrin, she goes to places usually where there is conflict. And she will live in a community, usually rural. She'll live in a community for a month or two, getting to know people. And so she's done a lot in Cuba, especially in Haiti. And I love the vibrancy of the environments that she paints, but the people are always just, they're like my cousins, and you feel them. I mean, like I love a lot of art. I tell you, who's got some fabulous art. She probably hit me for saying this. Sam and Latanya have really fabulous art.
Oh, and I expect that.
But people can have access to art, but that doesn't mean they have taste. You know what I mean? So I got taste, and I don't have that much access. But I have to have art that I can live with, because some art speaks so strongly to me. I can't be in the room with it, in the house with it. Like I'd like to go and see it, but I can't have, my space has to be like my kin people in there. Art has to be my kin people, take the place of my kin folk, and they're not loud like my kin folk. But I have this wonderful piece by Lucy Camalo that I got in Port Elizabeth back in probably 92, soon after, apartheid was crushed and you could actually get in. And Port Elizabeth is out in the Eastern Cape, and it's real countryside. And there was a sort of a community center that was selling crafts, everything beaded, you could imagine. If you stand still, those Zulus will bead your children. But downstairs, I said, what's down there to this woman? She goes, oh, just, some things. I go down there, and there's the fine art was stacked against the wall because they were selling all the stuff they thought that visitors would want. But so my walls were painted by these people, the Savigny's, and it kind of looks like a country house either cross between a country house in North Africa and a country house in, Italy, rural Italy. And the walls are painted, but it looks like the house was built around the walls. I'm saying this now, I'm getting a little misty. You know why? Oh yeah, and they painted my cabinet. It's like different parts of Africa. The cabinets in the kitchen are, they make you feel like you're in Kenya. And there's some of the Arabic sort of wall paintings in gold leaf and silver leaf around it. But I'm getting a little emotional now because we're just about to tear down our house and make a whole new one, because we're all in a new phase of life. I raised my children in that house. So, but the bits, like all the paintings of, like all the cabinetry is hand painted with these designs. But I am giving all those things will go to friends who want to use the doors, the cabinets, and all of that, copper doors and things like that.
I wanted to sit in this for a minute. Let me welcome the great Alfre Woodard. I don't even want to give all the accolades. We'll be here all day, y'all. But y'all know who she is.
Yeah.
All right. More than an actress. Because, as I was talking with Bill Perkins about that, he said one of his prized possessions was a piece of art that was drawn by an enslaved person. Because he said, our music was preserved, a lot of our music and a lot of that dance, but art, when did an enslaved person have the art material to paint, to do the time to do that, right? So if anything got preserved that came from the soul like that, it is the most valuable. And as you're talking about your house, I'm thinking about all of the lost things, all of the lost expressions that just ended up in a basement somewhere, ended up in the trash because there was no capacity to hang this or to, in life. So, I want to sit in that for a minute, because we're so super fortunate. Those of us who think like, our lives are miserable or what have you. Imagine having an expression and not being able to share it with the world, and not being able to be your full, complete self, which many of us can do today. Some of us are very free right now. I'm speaking for myself, but it's a luxury to be free. It's a luxury. A lot of us don't have that. And our ancestors definitely did.
That's why it's important to, I'm really going to talk about this seriously, but the thing that popped in my head just now was free your mind and your ass will follow. But I was a big Funkadelics person. I still am. But more towards what we need to be thinking about. Madiba, that is the demonstration he did for us. You can't always control your circumstance, but you have all the power because you can control your response to your circumstance. So I think about that when I think about our people being enslaved. We still had joy, we had fun. They made fun of the master and them behind their back. I mean, it's not like, freedom, people can't really take away your freedom. They can enslave you, they can incarcerate you, they can just keep you in the kitchen. Like, I'm not talking about masters now, I'm talking about family. They can, they can take up all your time, and your friends can just flood you with their drama. But so our reach for freedom has to be spiritual always. And that's, you always got that. Just, at work, if people just making you want to, take off your clothes and just start screaming, go to the bathroom, sit there, go in there, and just remind yourself of what you just said. We are free. And we of all people should know that. The possibility of that, rather.
So you're here, and I love every time your name pops up in town. I'm like, yes, I want to talk to Alfre Woodard. Yes, I do. Because you're always doing things, but you're always thinking, too. So I love having a conversation with you. But you're working on this series. It's an 8-part series, original series on BET, Plus,
BET
y'all.
Plus, yes.
BET, which I actually have because I got it for Jill Scott and them, and then I kept it. So Jill Scott had the first wives. I was like, I'm gonna watch this. Now she got Deborah Cox is on it. I'm like, I'm in. But this is called The Porter. And I love the premise, set in the 1920s. So it's a period piece. That means they spent some money. And it follows Pullman Porters, Junior Massey and Zeke Garrett and their friendship. But as I'm studying in class with Carr, I'm knowing that the Porters were the lifeblood of the Black community as we started to emerge out of slavery. They delivered those newspapers. It was like a new kind of underground railroad above ground with everybody being invisible Georges, but they were actually so much more. Talk about how you enter the Porter and where will we see you and what are you going to be doing? Okay,
and I'm just going to say this too. Being in service is a powerful position. Modern people looking like, oh, they had to bow, it's great. They had to get off the sidewalk. They had to, when somebody rang the bell, they had to come. But they also knew everything, everybody's business. We talk about code switching. That was the ultimate code switching. That's how they got things done. That's how we got stuff. That's how you got people out of town that needed to get out of town. That's how you knew. That's how you learn about the stock market, everything. We heard everything because we were invisible. So there's that. 1921, Montreal. It's the line from Montreal to Chicago that they're running. They've just come back from the First World War. And by all reports, it remains the most horrific war because it was hand to hand in the trenches. And there were boys, even younger than we send our guys and gals off now to war. And they are Pullman Porters, but they one of them chooses his, we're always strivers. One of them uses his energy towards trying to unionize the Porters, trying to get into the union, to get all the benefits, because the whole country was just fighting those union wars then. And the bosses, they were cracking heads and killing people to be unionized. And then the other one uses his striver gene to deal in the arena that the dominant culture was dealing in, the power brokers, organized and unorganized crime. So he's running numbers and doing these, but it's all happening on the train. They're just wonderful, full, they're not even characters, they're people. And then our two lead ladies, one of them is a Black Cross nurse, and she's come up, the Garveyites, Marcus Garvey has come up out of Jamaica into Harlem, up into Canada. But even within that, in that realm, she is bucking against the system. She wants to be a Black Cross nurse, but she is trying to use funds, the Back to Africa funds, to help the people in Saint Antoine, which is the community up in Montreal. And then the other is this gorgeous chocolate drop. She's so talented, beautiful voice, beautiful dancing and choreography, but she's on the back row and all of her cream colored sisters are on the front row kicking and dancing. So there's so much in this series, like it's 8-part. Now, my part in it, I am playing a featured part, a pivotal part, but they are the stars of this. I came on in support of this because I'll tell you after I tell you what I do in it, but I came on in support of it as an executive producer. 4 months in, they asked me to, would I, because I was in another series at the time, they said, we could condense your work into six weeks. Could you come and do this? Well, they offered me a part, an associate of A. Philip Randolph. Of course, you can't have a film about union without him. And I said, yeah, but she's, anybody could play her. Not anybody, but it was an obvious thing. She's just an upstanding woman, just don't cut up on screen. But I said, you know what? There was one that read, it said 40-year-old whore, and her name was Faye. And I said, okay, if you let me play Faye, I'll do it. And they said, Faye? And I said, yeah. And so that's why I came into it. I also told them, I said, okay, let me read everything. I wanted to read all of the stuff. Let's just look at it. And I said, and if it's not good, I can't do it. I love you. I'll be in support of you. But if it's not good, I can't be in it. And, you know, Marsha Green and Marie Murray, our showrunners, are just brilliant. And I said, yes, I definitely will, but I want to be Faye. I like to go to work, Karen, when I feel like there's something that I might think of that I think somebody else may not think of that. They can do great performances, but it's like, I'm always interested in the thing that, in specificity and thing that is usually left out. And what we leave out in daily life is seeing fully the other person we're talking to. We make judgments on the way they sound, the way they look, where they smell, a whole lot of different things. But if we look just not even deeply, it doesn't take time, just see the human being, see that they have a history and a value. And so with Faye, I'm thinking 1921, she has a very tragic backstory, really tragic. I mean, it's not in the film, but that's how we actors work, because we gotta, you know, you just don't start acting out. Somebody just didn't appear that day on the subway. It's like, where they come from? You know, as a child, what happened all the way up? And that's how you flesh out a character and make them a human being. And you could be destroyed by your backstory. I knew it was a brothel, but you know, usually do brothels all sneaky and skanky, and everybody's, you know, the women in there would rather be somewhere else. The men come in there, we think of them as exploitative. But I thought, you know what? Sometimes when you hit that kind of bottom that she hit, and was forced to the bottom and smacked, and the dearest things taken away from her, there's only, you can also choose to rise out of it. You can choose joy. You can, and, you know, you can let go of, let everything that burned up, burn up the bullshit that you had in your life as well. And so she has found herself, she's sort of like the den mother of the brothel, but she also is a working woman. 1921, you could be drinking out of a porcelain cup or a tin cup. Women were not part of the power structure of the equation. So you were under the thumb, even if he was nice and loved you, you were under the thumb of your husband, your daddy, your lover, your brother, somebody. And I just thought, okay, we're in a brothel. That is probably the freest place for a woman to be. She don't have to wash nobody's drawers. You know, she can get up when she wants to. And, you know, she's got strong women around her. So nobody's gonna hurt anybody in there. Nobody's gonna do anything they don't want to do. So I just said, okay, that's a little slice of you know, sorority, sisterhood, camaraderie. And so, yes, maybe some of the women came in, of course, with these backgrounds that they were misused, and they ended up having to, you know, having some trauma. But it's like, you're home now, you're with us. And so, and then I thought the men that come, you know, if we let them in, they're gonna have to be on the up and up. So I saw them as, I imagined them as people who just wanted to be accepted. They wanted their needs to be acceptable, and maybe they weren't acceptable. And they might have lives outside there that they wanted to be in. It wasn't like, but there was that one or two things that you just can't tell somebody else for whatever reason. So that's the world I built for Faye, and that I encouraged within the design for the brothel. Because the place we went to, it looked like a trap house, But I said, no, we want flowers around the front. We want ivy. And, no, let's paint this house. Put the numbers on the thing. We're not hiding out in here. This is a good place. It's a place of acceptance.
And that can only happen when you have the power as producer to be able to change the vision, because it's much bigger, because that's what you brought to the table. We're talking with Alfre Woodard, of course. She's starring in The Porter, 8-part series, original series on BET Plus.